He was the man no one remembered. Sitting cross-legged outside the public library, hair matted, face weathered by years on the street, he was invisible to most. The teenagers who passed laughed at his mismatched shoes. One dropped a half-eaten burger near him and said, "Hey, genius, go build a castle with that." The others roared with laughter.
He didn't respond.
Just picked up the burger, unwrapped the paper carefully, and set it beside the stray cat that often came to sit with him at dusk. They didn't know. None of them did. Years ago, he had a name. A respected one. A child psychologist with a PhD, a best-selling book, and a waiting list of parents begging for his help. People once paid thousands to hear him speak about child trauma, emotional resilience, and the importance of listening, truly listening, to children when they whisper the things they don't yet know how to say out loud. But all it took was one child. One voice no one believed. And one mistake that still echoed in the silence around him. She was 6. Small, quiet, with a habit of drawing trees with red roots. No one thought much of it, until she started flinching every time her uncle came to pick her up from the after-school program. He had noticed. Asked gently. Her reply had been soft, just 4 words. Asterisk, he hurts my dreams. Asterisk. He reported it. Did what protocol demanded. But the child was taken home anyway, parents dismissive, the uncle respected in town, his word valued more than a child's fear. A month later, she was gone. They called it an accident. But he knew better. And from that day forward, he couldn't sleep. He left his job, stopped writing, burned the remaining copies of his book. The media spun a story about a breakdown. No one looked deeper. And he didn't correct them. Because deep down, he believed he deserved the silence. But the city had its own memory. Years later, when he was just the homeless man outside the library, whispers started to return. A stranger in a long coat began leaving notes folded inside library books. They contained children's drawings, red roots, black walls, always unsigned.
He knew the signs.
He started watching again. Not the people who watched him with disgust or pity, but the children. Their faces, their habits, their eyes. One girl came daily with a woman who clutched her wrist too tight. Another boy, always covered in long sleeves even in summer, looked around nervously every few steps. The man didn't intervene right away. He wasn't trusted anymore. But he began documenting. Quietly. Carefully. Like before. This time, he wouldn't fail. One day, while digging through a discarded backpack, he found something. A tablet, still working. Inside were voice memos. One caught his breath. Asterisk, he says if I tell, I'll disappear like the girl before me. But I told the man at the library. I think he heard me. Asterisk. His hands trembled. He checked the date. 2 days ago. He hadn't spoken to anyone. But she had felt seen. That night, he went to the authorities anonymously, leaving a flash drive filled with evidence, photos, drawings, patterns, even audio. He expected them to ignore it. But something changed. A quiet sting operation followed. Multiple arrests were made. A hidden trafficking ring exposed, spanning shelters, foster homes, and well-connected guardians. The headlines never mentioned him. Just the agency that acted swiftly on community tips. But deep inside the library, a letter was taped to the back of a shelf where no one looked except children. It read, asterisk, to the girl who said he hurts your dreams, I heard you. And I never stopped listening. Asterisk. Months passed. One day, the teenagers returned to mock him. But he was gone. In his place sat a tall, well-dressed man reading to a group of children under a tree. Some whispered that it was the same man. Others said it couldn't be. He had money now, presence, a quiet power. No one knew where it came from. But he knew. A foundation had been created in the girl's name. Anonymous donations filled its accounts. It provided therapy, shelter, and education to children who had been ignored too long. And it all started with a man people had laughed at, and a voice the world chose not to hear.